Welcome. I'm Halcyon, and this is Hug Nation. Today I want to talk about the most important lesson from 2018. And this is a personal sharing. Obviously, everyone's learnings is different because everyone's classroom is different. One classroom that many of us shared this year was that of a volatile and sometimes frustrating, if not always frustrating, political climate. But that's not the area that I want to focus on today. Because when I started to look back on this year, that was not the most significant area of learning and growth for me this year. And it's not all celebration and triumphs, because generally the most powerful lessons include more than just celebrations and triumphs. It includes darkness, struggle, and suffering. One of my grandpa's final words he said when he was in the hospital, he said, suffering is the only form of education. He was quoting Solzhenitsyn, I believe. So earlier this year, my friend and campmate Nick took his life. And I've spoken about it at length here. I have cried at length here. I have processed, I have gone deep into the grief and the guilt. And it has been one of the most significant experiences of my life. Because while Nick was not my best friend, we had a special connection, and I think I played a advisory role to him at times as camp leader and sometimes as spiritual leader to things that he was going through. And so when he was going through tough times, he occasionally would reach out to me. And there were times when I extended attention to him, and there were times when I did not extend attention. So when he chose to take his life, that was a tough thing for me to face, and a tough thing for me not to experience with a lot of guilt. What if I should have, those kind of things. And initially, I felt responsible. I felt like I let him down in a profound way. Because losing someone to suicide it can feel like the biggest failure that you can ever experience, because it's the most dramatic consequence. And so I really dove into that idea and that feeling of guilt, of responsibility. Because And I got to this place of like, this is the most significant way I've disappointed anybody ever. And I eventually got to the other side of it, and I was like, this is one of the situations, one of the consequences that I have to face if I'm going to ever be a leader, if I'm ever going to take risks. I can't always be responsible for everyone's outcome, and there will be people that I will disappoint. And there's no more profound way to disappoint someone than I did Nick. And that was freeing to me. And I have many times thanked Nick through tears and through laughter for the gift that he gave me of kind of releasing me from some of my paralysis about failure and about letting people down and about disappointing people. Because if I compare it, I'm like, let's say somebody disagrees with the way that I did certain Pink Heart camp leadership duties, and they're disappointed in me. That sucks. I don't like the way that feels, but it's nothing compared to the disappointment experience and feelings that I had around Nick. And so there was this kind of liberation. In the same way, when I was much younger and very afraid of dating, I got rejected by 3 women on a televised dating show. And it was liberating, because next time I was in a nightclub and I wanted to ask someone to dance, like case scenario that 100 people would see me, and I had now had the experience of being rejected in front of millions of people. And so this relativity of disappointment was liberating. And now I know that Nick's death was not my fault. Since then, I very much am clear with that. But getting through that ownership of it, getting through that feeling of responsibility, getting through that guilt is what led me to this release of a lot of my just paralysis and deep fear about letting people down. And that led to one of the other significant experience of this year, which was the launching of the Pink Path, the coaching program that I just finished up and I'm about to do another round of. For years, people have said, you gotta do a coaching program. And for years, I was afraid. I was afraid of letting people down. I was afraid of disappointing people. For years, I have done these broadcasts and called them Belief Buffet. Said, hey, I'm just sharing thoughts and ideas. Chew on it for a while, and if you like it, swallow it. If you don't like it, spit it out. I'm offering it buffet style. No pressure, I'm not selling anything. And I found a lot of comfort in that because there was less risk of being disappointing to people, of being a fraud. And so to launch a coaching program, to say I have something to share of value, I have things to teach that will help you, making that claim was terrifying. What if somebody paid me money, went through the course and was like, that wasn't worth it? That would have been more than I could handle. But the gift that Nick gave me was the recognition that sometimes you let people down. That's the human experience. And the bigger you're going to play in this life, the more you're going to let people down, the more people you're going to let down, and the more dramatically you're going to let them down. Because you have to risk, you have to share big, you have to make bold claims and strive for high mountaintops. In doing so, you risk bigger falls. And so this year has been about charging into the possibility of failure. Now, luckily, after the first round of the Pink Path, everyone who went through it has been enthusiastically appreciative of the experience and went through transformation, and I feel like could not have gone better, which is why I'm excited about doing another round next year. So who knows, maybe if the time comes, and it will come when someone says, I didn't get as much out of this as I thought I would or I wanted to, I'm going to have to be okay with that. And I'm going to have to say, thank you, Nick, for giving me the strength to get to this place and face this disappointment, face this letting people down as a leader, as someone in a place of power. And so with the help of a coach, Michael Author, I created this program. And I got to say that I would not have been able to do it without a coach either, without somebody to hold me to my agreements, someone to encourage me when I had doubt, someone to kind of point out the next steps when I started to feel paralyzed. And it's been such a cool experience as I've been able to go deep with people and kind of really start to understand and reflect on the things that I can give and I can contribute and I can teach. All doing so from the perspective that I've had all along that brings me to Belief Buffet, which is the acknowledgement that I don't have all the answers. I have not figured it all out. I am not always in my power and at my best because I'm a human being. And I have gone through certain experiences. I've been lucky to cross paths with certain teachers. Was lucky to go to Burning Man early so that I have accumulated a little bit of wisdom. I have a little bit of a pep in my step and a glint in my eye that years of this kind of work can give you. Is it a golden ticket to avoid suffering? Of course, no. I wouldn't buy from anybody who sells that magic ticket. But I do feel that confidence now that I can help and I can teach and I can share as I am learning. One of the tough things about that step into confidence is that so much of my spiritual practice is about humility. So much of my journey is about a eroding of confidence in any thought or concept or reality that I'm attaching myself to. Not taking anything too seriously. I don't see too many Zen masters or Taoist monks saying, 12 weeks to a better you, 10x your success. Because if someone explains the Tao, that's not the Tao. And, the path of Zen is not one of a linear learning step-by-step process. But I've tried to incorporate that type of awareness into the course that I made, and then wrapped it all up in the attitude and that I think I've gleaned from Alan Watts, and the ability to teach these ideas of the inexplainable in a way that has humility and humor. Because I think that is when I was kind of trying to figure out, what is it that I am bringing? What is it that people can see in me that I can try to elevate in them? And I think it's a recognition of the grand majesty of the human experience, as well as the hilarious folly of it. A forgiveness of myself and a forgiveness in others, and a deep level of gratitude and humor. And that is a recipe not to any sort of traditional success. That is a recipe to the revealing and the blooming of an authentic life, which then leads to the success, the peace, the purpose that I think we're all looking for. The experience of life, our life, not a life taught to us, not a life ingrained in us, socialized into us, but experiencing life as we are meant to live it. And so all of this I trace back to Nick, of kind of unlocking me to be in this place, to step into the next year with more confidence and more humility. So I hope you have had profound lessons this year. One of my participants in the first round of the Pink Path, he posted today in our private group a quote that he quoted himself. He said, "Only when there is a chance of failure can there be opportunity for success." And it just reminded me that, we're all learning from each other. To quote Ram Dass, we're all walking each other home. So, thanks for walking the path with me. I love you. Wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders and give yourself a hug, an appreciation of this body, the divine majesty of it and the crazy silliness of it. Ever just spend a little bit of time and look at your ear or your toes? You gotta have a sense of humor to be in the body like this. Or your genitals? Don't get me started. So we appreciate this physical form and all the sensations. And we appreciate the mind and all the thoughts And then recognize that deeper than our physical and our brains is this energetic source consciousness, this light and love that shines through us. And for just a moment, we sink into that, recognize that that is the same light that shines through all people, regardless of how we disagree in the realm of thought. And we just take 3 breaths together in that place, connected to all beings on this planet. Inhaling through the nose and then out through the mouth. In. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the Love Warriors, happy Hug Nation.